it's going to be perfect. It will be perfect no matter what. That is such a special moment, and anything you say is going to be absolutely wonderful. So you got this. If you're open to it, if you want to, I just would invite you to kind of examine that. Is there a deeper reason why I don't really want to be in a relationship, or why I haven't been so far? Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Acting My Age with me, Rohini. Hi, happy Wednesday. Hope you all are doing quite swell on this fine Wednesday. Today's episode is going to be about marriage, good old tying the knot. Lots to talk about. So let's just get right into the episode. Hello, beautiful. Since we're talking about marriage in today's episode, I have an incredible offer for all you brides-to-be, Zola. I don't know if you've heard about Zola, but Zola is your one-stop shop for everything wedding planning. You can join 1 million couples who've planned their weddings with Zola. Zola makes wedding planning easier and less stressful by creating everything couples need all in one place. Wedding vendors, save the dates, invitations, free websites, registry, and more. What's really cool is Zola pre-screens vendors for you and makes personalized recommendations based on your style, your budget, and more. Zola will start conversations with any vendor of your choice, which makes it just so much smoother and just a lot less of a hassle. Zola has hundreds of beautiful, affordable save-the-date and invitation designs, and you can even order free samples beforehand to get a feel for them in person. They also have a built-in registry service, so you can add cash funds, experiences, and gifts all in one place, which is so convenient. Basically, Zola makes one of the most stressful jobs, wedding planning, a bajillion times easier. That way you can focus on how special your day is going to be and not how difficult it is to find a vendor, pick an invitation design, and customize your registry. Go to zola.com/acting today and use promo code SAVE50. That's SAVE50 to get 50% off your save the dates. You can also get free personalized paper samples before you purchase. That's Zola, ZOLA.com/acting, promo code SAVE50. Okay, so for those of you who don't know the story, my husband Sage and I met when I was 15. We went to the same high school, we're high school sweethearts, and then we did long distance for a while. And then we were both living in New York. We eloped when I was 20. And then a year later, we had a big ass wedding with our family there. So when we eloped, it was just our besties, really small, just totally footloose and fancy free, so much fun, and also not very stressful at all compared to the big one. But the big one was also very, very much more sacred and more potent, I guess you could say. There was a lot more energy with it. The first one definitely felt like just young, wild, and free, that fucking song. And then the second one was damn, this is we are forming a union. So both were incredible. I loved both. I would not have had it any other way. Both are just, the best memories ever. The first one, we just ended up eloping on our rooftop with all of our besties there, and then got absolutely trashed, blacked out on tequila, and was just running around the streets of Williamsburg having so much fun. Going to all our favorite bars, and we rented out the back of this Mexican restaurant, and it was just so fucking fun. Such good memes. And then Sage and I stayed at this really nice hotel and woke up, and Sage was absolutely dead, and somehow I wasn't even hungover because I only drank tequila, God bless. And we got room service and ate avocado toast in our room, and it was such good memes. And then the other one, I planned my little heart out on, really, really put my heart and soul into that thing, and it came out better than I could have ever dreamed. We have a wedding video up on my YouTube channel, Rohini Lace, if you want to go see it. If you haven't, I am just so obsessed with how everything came out. We did it on Sage's mom's farm where he grew up. She has 10 acres on Whidbey Island, and it's absolutely beautiful there. Yeah, we had like long wheat grass, and then the aisle was mowed in the middle, and there was a bunch of beautiful different oriental rugs spread out at the altar, and Sage made a little frame, like a triangle frame that we had a bunch of flowers on. We had an amazing florist. I love my dress. It was just so, so, so good. Like everything turned out so amazing, and the photos are incredible. We have such amazing video. I'm just really pleased with how it all went, basically. And let's talk about the price difference here for a second. The first one, which could have been done even cheaper, but at that point we were like really balling, or we thought we were like really balling. Like that was when I was making tons of money for the first time ever in my life. That was the time I was making the most money in my whole life. I make like so much less now. But anyway, I really felt like I was balling. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to treat everyone. So I paid for my friends who were flying in. I paid for their hotel room. We paid for all the dinner, all the drinks for everyone, and just really treated everyone, which I guess that's normal maybe, but I like really balled out, I feel like. So I think that ended up being, because we rented out a restaurant, we got dinner for everyone and drinks. I think total, I think it was like maybe 10 grand. And that was, it could have been a lot less. But our big ass wedding was like 60 grand. And we paid for all of it ourselves. And yeah, I initially thought we were going to save money. Also, by the way, this episode isn't going to be just talking about wedding planning details all the time, but I do just want to refresh people. And I know there are a lot of brides to be listening, so, you know, might be interesting for them to hear the deets. So yeah, I thought it was going to be cheaper having it on the farm, because I'm like, oh, we don't have to pay the venue fees and we can just DIY a lot of it and it'll be so great. And it was so great, but we definitely didn't save any money by doing that, because we had to bring everything in. And I am a girl who has kind of bougie taste, so it ended up being very expensive. We had to rent really fancy ass bathrooms. Like it was in a big trailer thingy, like really nice, and there was running water and electricity and mirrors, and it was swanky. And then we had a really cool VW van that's converted into a photo booth. Shutterbus Co is the name if you're in the area. And we had to rent all the tables, all the farm tables, all the chairs, rent a stage, rent speakers, rent a bar. Literally just so many costs. And my dress was really expensive, but it was, you know, dream dress. And the flowers were really expensive. The photos and the video were really expensive. So all of it was very expensive, but I don't have any regrets at all, even though it was such a huge chunk of money. That was like, you know, our savings, but it also was spread out over time, I should say. Like we didn't pay for it all at once, which made it a lot more doable. Just racked up the credit cards there for a minute, but it was doable for us. So, you know, I definitely wouldn't encourage spending a ton of money on a wedding if you can't afford it, because you can do it for a lot cheaper. And, you know, going into debt, that's not, in my opinion, that's not the best way to start out a marriage, because that just puts a lot of pressure on it. Finances can be very, you know, very hot point in relationships. So anyway, but that being said, I don't regret it whatsoever. I absolutely am glad I didn't, you know, like sacrifice what I really wanted. I just went for it, and I love how everything turned out. So yes, that's that. Those are the financial details, not the most exciting, but let's talk about everything else. Let's talk about what's really cool and important about marriage. So marriage, it's very interesting. I've always wanted to be married. Like ever since I was little, I've just always thought about my wedding day. I was one of those girls. And when Sage and I got serious, I just was like, oh my God, I'm going to marry this guy. And I always thought about it. We talked about it a lot. I was really ready to do it before he was. I was totally sure, I think, when I was like 18, and it took him a little bit longer. But once he had his own sense of independence and he was making money for himself, and we both had our own like places and everything, and we just were real adults, you know, not like fully financially supporting ourselves, fully independent from our family and all of that, like self-sustaining. That's when he felt ready to get married, and that's when it ended up being the right time. And I wasn't in school anymore too, which I'm glad about, because I just think it just didn't fit in with the FIT dorm room narrative to be married. Like that just didn't really fit. So for me, so when it happened, it was a perfect time. And we lived together for a while beforehand. And yeah, so basically I love being married. I fucking love it. And it really didn't feel okay, so let's just there's a few points here. So it didn't feel that much different than, like, it didn't necessarily change our relationship because we'd been together for a long time before we got married. And also, in my opinion, we're just very well matched. Ask my astrologer. But we're just very well matched, and like we are very open. There isn't really any secrets. Like we already kind of went through like all of the things that would come up when you're getting to know someone really deeply. So like that sacred union, the whole we're going to be together forever thing was definitely already established. But adding the husband and wife element was just so, 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 so special. And I love it so much. Like even now, it'll be 3 years this summer since we got married. Even now, just saying like, that's my husband, I just love it. That's my husband, Sage. It just makes me so happy. Like I'm so proud to be his wife and that he's my husband. I just fucking love it. It's so cheesy, but it's so beautiful. And I guess the thing that it added is, well, for one, it is very sacred. And there was no doubt in my mind. Like, I know everyone says that, but literally zero doubt. Zero. Not even a smidgen of a doubt in my mind that I was 100% sure I wanted to marry him. There was no doubt at all. And I don't like I wanted us, we both waited until it was 100%. Like we didn't just do it because that's the thing to do or because we've been together a long time or to make it, easier or whatever. Like we waited until we were 100% sure. And like both occasions, both weddings are like worrying about, oh my God, are we going to make it? Like, is he really the one? Is this going to be good? Like, I hope this ends well, or, I hope we stay together forever. Like none of those thoughts were in my mind. Like that was completely 100% sure. All I was worried about on the wedding days was like fucking planning everything. I was running around on our big wedding that morning. I got my hair done and then I was running around, no makeup on, like sweating off my spray tan, moving things and like carrying things, and I ruined my hair. My hair completely fell out because I was like moving all this shit and getting all these things together, and it was so hectic. So it was a big effort. It was like all of our family and friends putting everything together, running around, very stressful, but it all turned out great. So anyway, I guess just a word of advice. Just depending, again, this really depends on where you're at and what kind of, what's your personality type, or, like I'm someone that when I really like I feel like I'm very connected to my gut instinct, my intuition, my inner knowing, all of that. Like I feel very connected and that channel is very clear. So when I really have a lot of trust in myself, basically, in my decisions. So when I felt, okay, this is it, like I know he's the one, he is my soulmate, this is it, I could trust that instinct, like, okay, yes, I'm 100% sure. And so I guess a word of advice, if you're not 100% sure, you're like, I love him, he's loved my life, we've been together for a long time, but you just don't really know, like, is he really the one? Do I want to be with him forever? Like, can you actually picture being with him and when you're 60 and 80? And can you picture having kids if you want kids, or having grandkids, all of these things? Can you picture him by your side at the hardest time in your life? Can you picture him by your side at the best time? Like, how really go through all of that. And if there's doubts about it, I really would encourage you to wait, because there's no rush. There really is no rush. You're on no one's timeline but your own. Yeah, there's no rush, and when it's supposed to happen, it will. And if it's not supposed to happen, that's okay too. It's going to be really hard and really painful, but it's better to know for sure beforehand if this person is or isn't the one than just kind of like falling into a marriage that doesn't doesn't really, that isn't going to last, or just isn't based on a very solid foundation, because a really solid foundation and open communication is literally the most important thing. If your communication style isn't, working, if you have trouble communicating and reading each other and knowing what each other needs and wants and being able to express that, it's going to be hard. And obviously everyone's different, but I just would say, like, I don't know, especially maybe this isn't even for you guys, but like, I just feel, especially when women get in their late 20s or 30s or mid 30s or whatever, they're just like, fuck, I need to get married. Like, I want to start having kids. And so sometimes they just marry like the first person that they start dating or have a serious relationship with at that time. Or like, you're 32 and you meet someone and you are dating for like less than a year, and then you just get engaged and get married and have kids right away. And then now your kids are 3 years old and you guys are fighting all the time. Like, I've heard this so many times. So don't do it just to do it, like, do it because you want to be with this person forever, and because they are the person that you love most in this whole world. And because the thought of going to bed next to them, every night is, very comforting and warm. Like, that warms your heart and you can look forward to that. Like, those are all really real things. And also, if you don't want to get married, don't get married. Plenty of people just date forever and ever. Like, they're just partners. You don't have to be married. So, yeah, that's my spiel on that. But I would say, if you do want to get married and you are sure, it is the best thing. It is just as magical as it is, for me at least. It's just as magical as people make it out to be in the fairy tales and the movies. Like, I love it. There is nothing, more special and more sacred than having someone who has your back for your whole life, no matter what. Like, he has my fucking back no matter what. And he loves me unconditionally, and I love him unconditionally. And, like, just that feeling, no matter what happens during the day, like, if you have a terrible day, if, you're really stressed, or things go on in the world and that are hectic, and you're fighting with your friends or your parents or whatever, like, they are always going to be there. And just being able to come home to that is so, so special. I love it so much. So yeah, marriage is not a light thing because it's forever. And for me, there is no, I'm going into this not thinking that there's a divorce option. Obviously, I'm not against divorce, but I'm not considering that an option. That's like, if anything were to happen, which I really don't think it is based on how things are going so far, we'd really fight for it, because I do think if you're willing to get into marriage, you need to be willing to fight for it too. So yeah, it is a big deal. It is a big deal. And it's going to be up and down. There's ups and downs. I've seen so many ups and downs with my parents, and just in the last like 3 years, they've just become so, so happy. And like, when I was in high school, it wasn't as much like that at all. So now they're just like so cute, so in love, like just teasing each other and kissing and, going on cute little dates. They go on a sunset cruise, they call it, where they bring a picnic and go drive up to the beach and just watch the sunset and eat their picnic. And they call it a sunset cruise. That's the fucking cutest thing I've ever heard. So anyway, things happen, but marriage is sacred, I guess. Sacred union. It is a big fucking deal, because you are signing a legal contract. You are signing, in my opinion, a soul contract. Like, this is your person. Our souls are in this together. We are going to be one. Like, that type of shit. Like, it's very, very deep for me. And also, hello, if you want kids, like I do very, very much. I've always known I wanted to be a mom since I was very little. Like, this is the person that's going to be your kid's dad. And that's a huge fucking deal, because kids learn from their parents. They mimic and mirror everything. And I'm sure a lot of you know, unfortunately, like, being in a house with an unhappy marriage and people who don't love each other and fight and argue and tear each other down, that's very hard on children. And so it's a big deal. Like really consider all that. Consider the weight of marriage before you get into it. I'm not trying to like scare anyone, but I do think, it's very fun. It's so fun, but it's also very, it's a big deal. So enough of that. I'm going to answer some of your questions. Okay, so I kind of already talked about this, but there are a few things I missed, so I'm going to answer this question. Hey, Heen, fellow high school sweetheart here. We're celebrating our 10 year this October. Wow, amazing. Me and my guy both know we will be married. We're going to wait until I'm done with school in a couple years and elope in Iceland. Ooh, and have a small reception when we get home, then plan a proper wedding down the line at a vineyard in the town we first met at age 14. It's going to be dreamy to say the least. Wow, that sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. Wow. My question is, as a fellow long-term relationship and high school sweetheart, has marriage really changed your relationship at all? What do you guys do differently now as husband and wife, if anything, than when you were just partners? My boyfriend and I share finances and insurance where we can, have lived together for 5 years, are buying a house together next year before marriage. I'm just curious how much actually changes from your perspective when you say I do's when you've already lived so much of life together. Lots of love. This is such a good question, and I kind of talked about it a little bit, but something else I thought of, the biggest thing that marriage changed, at least for me, besides like the whole contract and like this is a real ass deal, is that the family, that's what really changed. It's like once we were married, I was in his family, and once he's became in my family. It's very official, and yeah, especially with his parents, like they always knew, I'm the girlfriend. I've been around a long time, but once I'm the wife, like, oh, she's coming to all the functions. We're planning Christmases together. Like it really changed the family dynamics in an amazing way, I would say. So like, when I went to Thanksgiving for the first time in California with all his family, it was just so special. They're like, oh, this is Sage's wife. They just got married. And all the relatives I hadn't met are like, oh my God. Like it's just very, very sweet. So I think in other people's eyes, like girlfriend and wife is a big, big difference. And I know it really doesn't matter what other people think, but just that like special initiation into the family is something that I really, really enjoyed. But I would say it really just gives another level of depth to the relationship. That's like kind of subtle, but it just builds over time. At least that's what I've noticed so far. Like you are in this together, like you're in a serious relationship. You've been together a long time. You've been through a lot together, but somehow just adding the whole husband-wife union, like marriage, we said our vows, we committed all these things we love about each other in front of everyone that we love. And we said it out loud. And, there's something very special and, ceremonial about that, obviously. And to me, it just adds another layer of depth that's really, really beautiful. And I think whenever we have maybe had arguments about things, which is usually just about finances and isn't very often, but I think there's just that extra layer of like really wanting to come to a resolution and really talking things out, because you are in this forever, and like these problems will just keep coming up if you don't talk them out and work through them. So I don't know, but I would just say a really nice, beautiful layer of depth to the relationship, and then also the family dynamic I really, really, really like too. But I'm so excited to hear about your elopement and all of that. It sounds fucking beautiful. So congratulations in advance. Hi Rohini, this is my first time writing in and I'm so excited. My question to you is, how do you know you know? I know this is kind of a tricky question to answer, so I apologize in advance. For some context, my parents went through a really messy divorce when I was younger, and ever since I've sworn to myself that I'll never get divorced, that I'll make sure to marry the right person and get it right the first time. I've been with my current boyfriend, who is also my first boyfriend, for about 2 years. We are best friends above all and love each other so much, but as we get ready to graduate college, I can't help but think about marriage and if he's the right person for me. So my question to you again is, how do you know you're with the right person versus just settling? I think this especially hits hard because he's my first ever boyfriend and I don't know a relationship other than him. Any advice would be great. Love you and your podcast. Can't wait to listen to this episode. So, such a good question. That's just like, that's the biggest question, you know, how do you know? And I think it's really amazing that you are aware of all of these things that you're wondering and thinking about. You know, I don't know your situation. But just like my general rule of thumb, I think, is when we ask ourselves these questions and like it keeps coming up, or it's just something that's in our mind. I think it's usually something pretty important, and it's oftentimes our intuition, like kind of telling us something. So, not that you guys aren't meant to be together, but I think like if you are having these questions and you maybe don't know for sure, like you can't really picture it with him, you go through all these scenarios, like I said, like when you're 50 and 60 and all these, like really walk yourself through it. Like walk yourself, if you're in an argument, how does it go? Like, you know, are there any things about him that you really don't enjoy? Because that's a real thing. Like if in relationships people can take out their trauma on each other, that's basically, you know, trauma has to go out somewhere. And so these are all things to notice. Like, is this person really, you know, working on themselves, committed to themselves, motivated, kind, loving, gentle, all these things. Like, of course, I don't know you guys, I don't know him, but really go through the list about it. And if you're having these questions, like, I just don't know, he's my first boyfriend, like maybe I need to date other people just to see. I think if you want to, I think you should. And there's no, just because you maybe take a break for a little bit and want to explore seeing other people, doesn't mean that you're not going to be together. My good friend, my best friend, one of my best friends, Sorel and Udenze, which she talks about this openly. They took a year. They started dating when they were like 14, I think. And they've been dating 10 years. So, and they're going to get married soon. Anyway, they took a year off in college when they first got to college because they were like, this just isn't working. It's long distance. I really think we should, spread our wings and be able to enjoy the college experience. So they took like a little bit less than a year off and tried to date other people, and it just wasn't it. They're like, oh yeah, there's no one else for me but you. And I know that now. And they got back together, and they've been together, happy, content, totally committed 1000% since then, on track, knowing they're going to get married. So it's like, sometimes you just take a break so you know for sure, because, you really want to know for sure. So I would say listen to your intuition. And if you feel like you should, date around or just see what it's like, before getting into such a big commitment as marriage, I would say you definitely, definitely go for it. And, sending you lots of love. Rohini, I'm so excited about this episode. My boyfriend proposed to me last month, and we literally just now got confirmed for our dream date. Getting married on 12/11/21, baby. Can you tell I like numerology? Oh, that's such a sick anniversary date. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So this feels like divine timing, as I'm now really getting into the planning. We're having a smaller party with our bestest friends, and I've decided I'm wearing a white suit. Eek! Oh my god, fucking love that. The only thing I'm just completely stressing over is how to go about my vows. I could write pages and pages from my heart about how much I adore him, but I think I would rather give him those words in a letter he can have just for himself. Oh, that's the part in the wedding videos where I just start fucking bawling when they're reading the letters to each other. I'm like, fuck. I watched so many wedding videos before we got married, like so many. Oh my God. So, okay, back to what she said. I've been searching for beautiful poems, texts, and quotes to read at the registry, something that really captures this soul bond, but nothing has really felt right. I love, love, love your writing, and I can't wait for your book someday. Oh my gosh. Thank you. And all the quotes and recommendations you always have. So I was wondering, do you have anything that comes to mind? Thank you for making this pod. It's truly such a light. Oh, yes. Oh my gosh. So vows, such a big thing. Such a big thing. And, yeah, it is hard. Like, how do you narrow it down, everything you feel about this amazing person, into just like one page? So hard. But I would say I think the route I went with mine was the characteristics that about him that I know would make a good husband, like why I want him as my husband, like talking about how he's So like sweet and gentle, but super like firm and decisive. And he's going to be a great father, and all the history we've shared and all the thing, like the growth we've shown together, like all these, you know, kind of landmark things in our relationship. And then also the things that I am like so happy to be marrying him for. Does that make any sense? So I guess, yeah, maybe just do a quick, like, fucking journal it out, as always, what I always say. Um, yeah, the main, like, 5 or 6 or 7 characteristics about him that you are just thrilled to be marrying. Like, what are those things that, like, damn, he's going to be a great husband. He's a great partner because he is these things. And I think writing your own vows is so, so special. I did not for a second want to do traditional vows, which, you know, if you do, that's, you know, totally up to you. There's a lot of beauty and ceremony in that, obviously. But I just really enjoyed writing our own. We just kind of read them to each other, and I think the first couple rows could hear it, but the mics weren't really loud enough. So I think the back half of the wedding didn't even hear it. And when we were saying them, it truly, this again sounds like a movie, but it's fucking true, truly felt like we're the only 2 people there. Like the officiant was holding the mic, and I literally forgot she was there. Like it was just us. It was amazing. So special. The vows are so, so special. But yeah, try to just kind of condense it down, and feel free to get cheesy. And yeah, like I also kind of went with all the things that I just knew would make the parents cry too. Because that's what made me cry. We were also bawling through the whole time we read the vows. We were both bawling our eyes out. So it's so special. Wishing you lots of love, lots of success. It's going to be great. No matter what you read, it will be perfect. So really don't put a ton of pressure on yourself, because obviously it is a big deal, but like it's going to be perfect. It will be perfect no matter what. That is such a special moment, and anything you say is going to be absolutely wonderful. So you got this. Okay, next one. First of all, hi, Genie. I appreciate how much effort you put into the podcast, and I wish you the very best and hope that you keep doing this. Oh, thank you. That's actually very nice. Thank you. Now to the questions. I'm 17 and I've been together with this guy for half a year. And yes, I know that's not long, but I have this feeling in my gut that I will hopefully spend a very long time with him. We love each other very much, and yeah, that's probably too soon to say, or we're too young to know. But hey, a lot of love stories exist where they fall in love at a very young age. Anyway, I just don't know if now is a good time to start talking about our future, or eventually to the marriage talk. I feel like he's my soulmate I had to travel thousands of kilometers for. So beautiful. I don't want to lose the healthy and amazing relationship we've built. I don't know. What should I do? Thank you for reading this, and I wish you a very pleasant day. Wow, that's so beautiful. Soulmate I had to travel thousands of kilometers for. That's so beautiful. And maybe he is. Maybe he is your soulmate you had to travel thousands of kilometers for. I'm a glass half full kind of gal, and I found my person at 15, which literally everyone statistics say is highly improbable, but yet it happened. So I totally believe in like past lives and soulmates, and you know, you find the person you're supposed to find, and some of us find them really early. So yeah, all those normal doubts like, yeah, we love each other very much. That's probably too soon to say. We're too young to know. That I totally had all those thoughts too. I'm like, wait, is this real? Is this really real what I'm feeling? I'm only 15 and I fucking love this guy. Oh my God. I was freaking out at the beginning because I'm like, shit, this is not a normal high school relationship. So I guess I would say, I think I definitely waited a little while. I mean, I don't know what your situation is, but if you guys are like going to be going off to college, or, you know, moving out of town or wherever you are, like that's really going to come up. Like, are you going to stay together or not when you go to school or go to college or start working, whatever it is, like that's going to come up. So, I mean, if you already expressed like how much you love each other and all of that, I think you can, it really just depends. I don't know. Like if you want to bring it up, then bring it up. But again, 6 months is pretty fast, especially for dudes. I don't know about him, but Sage moved a lot slower than me, and you know, you don't want to overwhelm him, but at the same time, you want to be honest. So I don't really know. It's kind of hard. I would say make it obvious how much you love him, like that you really enjoy being with him and like you want to be with him a long time. And I guess next year, whenever it is, if you go to school and you need to have that talk, like just make it very clear, like I want to stay with you, like I'm in this for the long haul. And just see what happens, open up that dialogue, and don't let any outside naysayers get you down, like you're too young, you need to break up and date other people. I had plenty of people telling me that. I'm like, shut up, ma'am, I don't want to listen to you. I know what I know, and I know that I love him, so don't listen to the naysayers. But also just be honest, be practical. Or maybe don't be practical, fuck it, practical would tell you to break up, so don't be practical. Be honest and open with each other. And I'm rooting for you. I'm a big fan of young love. I think it's beautiful. So, okay, next one. Hi, Rohini. I've wanted to send in questions forever, but never felt like I had something to ask. My question is about both marriage and singleness. For some reason, I just can't picture myself being married. I'm definitely open to the idea, and I think I would like to get married because I know marriage can be beautiful and fulfilling for a lot of people. But in the same way, I truly think I could live my whole life single and be perfectly happy and content as long as I have great friends. On one hand, I feel like if I stay comfortable and content by myself forever, I'll never put in the effort to try and date. On the other hand, my friends always tell me that the reason I'm so happy alone is because I've never known what it's like to be in love. I'm scared that if I do make finding and falling in love a priority and begin to picture marriage as a part of my future, that I'll lose the ability to be happy by myself. I worry that if I fall in love and it doesn't work out, or even if I fall in love and it does work out, that I won't feel as fulfilled and joyful and independent on my own as I always have. I'm only 20, so I have a ton of time to figure it out, but even so, what do you think? Is marriage a higher form of fulfillment? Is it worth it to try and find love? Hope this makes sense, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. XX, all my love. Ooh, such a deep one. So good. I've thought about this a lot because one of my besties, Grace, is like not in, like, doesn't want a relationship anytime soon, doesn't know if she wants to get married or any of these things. Like, she's never had a relationship. She's not thinking about it. But yet, like, she hangs out with Sage and I all the time. She's like, damn, I can't believe you guys are married. So everyone's on their own timeline, as I already said. And also with my brother's 40, and he's like just now warming up to the idea of having a partner and being married. So, and literally like 6 years ago, he's like, I don't believe in marriage. Marriage is a construct. And I'm like, okay, dude. But now he's like, yeah, I think it'd be beautiful to have, a partner for the rest of my life to share life with. So it really comes and goes, I think, or like builds slowly is what I meant to say. Comes and goes. No. I think once it's there, it kind of stays, at least in my opinion. I think there's a lot of things that go into it. And if it's not something that you want right now, and like relationships aren't something that you really want, like if the thought of being in a relationship or dating or whatever makes you uncomfortable, like don't force it, Again, there's no rush. Where you are is fine. And I would say, like, obviously, I think you guys probably know, but I think love and being in a loving, beautiful relationships is one of the most incredible experiences of being alive, because it's, like you said, so fulfilling and so like just so abundant. Like it just makes everything in life that much sweeter, in my opinion. But the point that you were saying about how, like, I don't want to lose myself, or not be because you're so content right now being on your own, which is incredible. In my opinion, if you are very solid in yourself, that is the perfect time to be in a relationship, because in my opinion, if you're solid in yourself already and you love independent time alone, and what you like what you like to do and doing your activities and self-fulfillment, all of that is amazing. And that will attract a good partner into your life, because you know what you deserve, and you're not reliant on this person to bring you contentment and happiness, because you already have it within yourself. And relationships cannot, like, just because I'm with Sage doesn't mean Sage can heal me. Like, I still have to heal myself, Like, having that support system is an amazing anchor, but it's not like he can go in and do this inner work for me, just like I can't go in and do it for him. Like, it's a foundation and it's a support system, but it's not a replacement for all this stuff that we still have to do on ourselves. And like, in my opinion, it doesn't take away anything at all. It just adds. If it's the right relationship, it doesn't take anything away. It's only an addition, a positive addition to your life. And if it does take away, then that might not be the right relationship for you, because yeah, like if you feel like your needs aren't met and you can't meet your needs, and if you were alone, you would be better off, like, then you should probably be alone at this moment, you know? But basically, it seems like you're worried maybe about losing yourself in the relationship and not having this independence that you have now. And I think that there's absolutely partners out there that will love your independence and also be very independent. And you guys can, be totally independent, do your whole days, thrive, do whatever you like to do during the days, and then come together at night and just have a nice night together. Or, you get together for breakfast and then the rest of the day you're all doing your own thing. So it's like, it really won't take away if it's a good relationship. It'll only add. It'll just add that special extra spice to your life. So I don't let that part stop you. And I also, again, I don't know you, so this could be totally off base. Feel free to tell me if it is. But I find that people who are against relationships and don't want to be in a relationship, or just have no interest in it, or just don't really think about it ever, or don't see it for themselves ever, or just don't understand the concept. Like how do people be in relationships? I find that oftentimes, again, not always, but oftentimes there's some type of wound for them inside with relationships. Again, I might be off base, but it's like maybe there was something with your childhood or your parents, or maybe you didn't have like a loving relationship modeling for you, because everything goes back to our childhood, literally everything. It's crazy. So, if you didn't have a healthy, happy relationship modeled for you, then that might not be something that's even a concept for you, So if you're open to it, if you want to, I just would invite you to like kind of examine that. Like, is there a deeper reason why I don't really want to be in a relationship, or why I haven't been so far? Is there anything that, like, did I have healthy relationships modeled for me when I was younger? Did this view of relationships change at some point? Like, if so, why did they change? All of that. Also, if like a fun little exercise, if you want to journal or something and just say, like, when I think of marriage or a relationship, like, what are the 3 words that come to my mind when I think of marriage? And just see what the first 3 words are, and that might give you a little hint of where things are at. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's going to be great. Everything's going to be great. So again, like you said, you're young, we're young, we got time, we can figure it out. And I think that you're asking these questions is really amazing. And I think it's going to be great. So just rooting for you. Whatever you want to do is perfect. There's no rush. You're on your own timeline with everything in life, and it's going to be beautiful. So hopefully that answered your question. Maybe that was more than you wanted, but I get on a rant sometimes. This question I just found very sweet and a good one to answer. So, why did you decide to get married as opposed to just living common law, etc.? It sounds like different country maybe. Common law, I'm not sure exactly what that means. Maybe it's the same as let me just look it up. I'm like, maybe it's the same as domestic partnership, because I have denoting a partner in a marriage by common law. Yeah, okay. So it's kind of like domestic partner. Okay, back to what she's saying. I'm wondering, because I know you're not very religious, and the only examples I've seen of marriage where I live is because of religion and wanting to have sex. I'm not religious either, and I also have premarital sex, LOL. but I'm curious why people would choose to get married if not for these reasons. Want to learn more perspectives. Thanks, Rohini. I just find this such a sweet question. Like, I just love it. It's so open. I'm curious why people would choose to get married if not for these reasons. Yeah, wanting to have sex, that is a big driver for a lot of people, which for good reason. Sex is fucking awesome. But that's definitely not the reason you should get married only. Sorry if you can hear Henry barking. I don't know what's going on. I think Sage is outside and he forgot to bring Henry, so Henry's just barking. So sorry if you can hear that. Well, I guess, let's see. Well, common law, or that's just like signing papers. That's just legally making things a little easier on yourself. But the marriage part is just the sacred part. Like, I don't really know how to describe it, I suppose. Why would people choose to get married? This is very interesting because it's really taking me to the like basics. Like, why would someone actually choose to get married? So this is a great question. I'm really thinking about this. Why would people choose to get married? Why did I choose to get married? Because I know that my life is richer because of Sage being my husband, because I want to combine our families and create our own family, because I think stability and spoken aloud agreements of love and commitment are really powerful. And because also just for me, again, I really want to have kids and I want us to be married. Like, I want our kids to know that that is a stable, stable foundation that's not going anywhere. Like, mommy and daddy are in it for the long haul. Again, like, there are lots of different stories and scenarios and not everyone wants to get married. Whatever, that's fine. Just for me, I want that for my kids. And because it's fucking, in my opinion, it's so beautiful. I just love it. I love, again, it kind of is what I talked about in the last episode, like daring to be bold enough to say that I'm going to love you for the rest of my life. That is so beautiful and it's so sacred and such a big commitment. It's literally just like two of you jumping off a cliff together, holding hands and just like saying, you know what? Whatever happens, like, we are in this together. We're going to fall through this life together. No matter what comes our way, like, we got each other. We got this. And I think that's so, so powerful. And I do think there is a lot of power, just innate power and sacred energy in ceremonies. Lots of ceremonies, which I hope to be doing my first plant medicine ceremony at some point this summer, but that's another topic. But yeah, there's a lot of power in ceremony, which is why it's a thing. And I think sometimes if you get too rigid with it, it can lose the magic of the ceremony. But yeah, it's just very powerful. Speaking something out loud, like, do you take this, person, I don't remember the normal vows, but like, in sickness and in health, in better or for worse, for as long as you both shall live. Like, I do, like, that's very powerful. For sickness and in health, for better, for worse, as long as you both shall live. That's a big deal. And you say that out loud and you speak that into the universe, So I think it's very special. And it's funny though, because I'm so pro marriage for me. Like, I love it so much, which is such a lucky thing to have, because I, have parents who are together and are still in love. And I'm very lucky with my relationship. So again, I know it's not the case with everyone, but I'm so pro marriage that I'm like, why would anyone just want to sign papers or do common law? Like, why would anyone want to do that when you can just get married? I'm like, marriage is so much cooler than just signing some papers. So yeah, pretty interesting. Hopefully that answered your question. That's pretty a deep one there. So hopefully I covered it, but like, you just got to feel into what that means for you. Maybe that's not something that's on the horizon for you right now, or something that's interesting to you. But there are a lot of great reasons to get married besides just having good old sex. And yeah, I'm a big fan of premarital sex for myself also. But of course, to each their own. I also do think it's very sweet to save yourself for marriage. I have appreciation for all these things as long as they're done in a loving, like respectful, honoring way. You know, I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast episode. Hey, Heaney, I'm kind of at a confused place. I've been dating my boyfriend for over 4 years, and for the longest time, I pictured myself getting married to him, no questions asked. Well, recently, I was in my brother's wedding, and being a part of that process and seeing them so visibly in love, but also all the stress and pressure of getting married and having a wedding kind of hit me like a ton of bricks. It made me have this confused pit in my stomach, feeling where I was like, whoa, I don't know if I'm ready for all of this. Which maybe is an okay, totally normal feeling to have, or maybe it's not. Especially after dating for 4 years, I would like to think I should know by now if he's the one, and if I want to be with him forever or not. Would absolutely love your take on this and any words of advice or wisdom. Thanks so much. So I kind of talked about this earlier a little bit, and as my mom says too, usually when she gets her astrology clients, usually if someone's asking if this person is the one, then usually they're not. You know, like if you have these doubts already in you that are kind of like, oh gosh, like I don't know. Or just maybe it's just a doubt, like I don't want this for a while. Like I don't really know if I want this yet, which is totally fine. So I really just think you got to listen to that voice that's like, whoa, this is a lot. Really, really tap into that. Listen to your intuition. And if your boyfriend is wanting to get married soon and you're not ready, like just make that clear. Like don't just go with it because it's the thing to do. Like I said earlier, like really feel in if that is something that you want, and you can picture doing the whole thing your whole life, your whole stinking life. Like, you know, your whole life. Like if you don't want to get a tattoo of this person's name, then maybe like if you get tattoos, you know what I'm saying? Like people get married, but then we're like, oh, I wouldn't get their name tattooed on me. Like that's, it's kind of a lot. So that's something I thought of too. I'm like, I would get sage on me. Or also another hardcore thing is like, would you get a wedding ring tattooed on you? That's some contemplation. Not that you actually would, but do you get what I'm saying? Like it is a big deal, and ask yourself those hard questions to really get to the truth of how you're feeling right now. And whatever comes up is okay. Wherever you're at right now is okay. There's no pressure. So just, yeah, be honest. And I think it is really important that you did have those thoughts at that wedding because, again, this is just me personally. Whenever I went to a wedding beforehand, like I went to my cousin's wedding who I'm really close with, and I was in the wedding and helped her kind of like put things together, and it was in all the stress and hullabaloo and all the celebration, and it just made me a bajillion times more excited to marry Sage. So again, that's just me, but I have also heard like, people get engaged at weddings, or people get engaged after weddings because they're just so caught up in the love bubble. So that's something to note too, that you had the opposite reaction, which maybe is like, you're just not ready for it yet, which is totally fine. So yeah, just ask yourself all the tough questions, really get to the bottom of it, and be honest with yourself without any judgment or, pressure from anyone else. Sending you love. You got this. I hope that helped a little bit. Okay, so this is a story, not a question, which is cute. Okay, finally something I can partake in. I love your podcast and who you are becoming. Thanks, girl. A little about us. My husband is a bit older than me. We got married when I was 21 after knowing each other for 6 years, but not dating the whole time, just being in different stages in life. I'm hard-headed, and he was set in some of his ways at first. It was hard. Some fights were so dirty, I really didn't think we'd make it past 1 year. I can be a very arrogant perfectionist sometimes, and I really had to look within myself to be a better wife and person. I think the most important thing you can do in a relationship and marriage is kindness, both to yourself and your partner. Be patient, kind, and learn your partner's love language. Marriage is such a beautiful thing, and like everything else, you need to care for it to thrive. It's been 2 years, and I've learned a lot, but there's no one else I'd rather be growing with. Can't wait to hear all the submissions. Yes, absolutely. And that's, again, it's like you have to be willing and committed to getting through the tough stuff, because it's not going to be all, roses and whatever peaches, what do they usually say? Peaches and cream? No, that doesn't sound right. I don't know what the expression is, but there's going to be hard stuff. And sometimes it's work and you got to get into it. And like she said, there's no one else you'd rather grow with. So I think that's a really nice reminder. And yeah, I love that you guys are doing good now and lots of growth. Definitely lots of growth. And I've heard that a lot too. Like the first year for people, especially I don't know your situation, but especially if you hadn't lived together or you hadn't been together like that long before. Also, I've heard this with some like Christian or Mormon marriages because they weren't, they didn't live together before or they just met recently, whatever, all those things. Like the first year is really like, damn, okay, shit's real. We got to confront all this. We're going to work on this. But the commitment is there, The commitment is there because you're in it for the long haul. So I think that's what's really beautiful too about marriage. So yeah, I like that story. Okay, last question. What would be your advice on getting married to someone and your family all of a sudden no longer agrees with the marriage? So this is quite deep, and I don't feel like I have enough details to answer it fully because I would say the most important thing is, how is your relationship with your family? Like, are you close with your family? Do you guys get along? Do you have similar values and beliefs? Because if so, and they don't approve of your future husband, then that is definitely something to pay attention to because, usually, hopefully your family has your best interest at heart and know you well. So, I definitely think it'd be worth it to hear them out. And also, yeah, like really hear them out and ask and talk about why, like, what are the reasons why they don't want you to be with this person? Are they warranted? Are they all like gossip or just overhyped or what is it? So a lot more details needed. But if you're not close with your family and you don't share similar values or beliefs and they don't approve of them, but you and your future husband are very aligned and you've gone through all those tough questions, like I said, you can really see this person being your person forever. They have qualities that you really like. You guys work together well and can communicate well, and they're kind and loving and all of that, willing to grow. Then at the end of the day, it's your life and your marriage. And also, this is something that, like, I don't know, it just seems like lost today in some ways. This isn't even just about marriage, but like, it's your right to make your own mistake. Like, if I want to do, or if I don't want to do something that everyone wants me to do, and that ends up being a mistake on my part, like, okay, it's my mistake to make, no one else's. So, all of that being said, just gotta find more details and really get into what's going on there. But I'm sending you lots of love, and I know that can't be easy. But I hope it all gets resolved and you get some clarity. So I'm going to end it out. I am very thirsty and I drank all my water. I'm recording this on a Friday, and we're going to dinner with my brother who's in town. And Catherine, of course, the bestie girl. Sage and I are going with Catherine and Amber and my brother. So it's going to be really nice. And it's beautiful out this weekend. It's supposed to be like 74, which is the hottest it's been here. And I'm just so hyped. My family's coming over tomorrow. We're doing a whole, like, both my brothers are in town and my sister-in-law who's 5 months pregnant. So it's a very lovely time. We're going to have a picnic and I'll hang out in the sun in the backyard, and yeah, I'm excited. So wishing you guys a lovely day today. Thank you so much for listening to this. Hopefully you got something out of it. Let me know your thoughts. And if you want me to do another episode like this, I'd be happy to. Yeah, I could definitely write a lot of cheesy things about marriage. So maybe next time I'll try to like write something out that's a little more poetic that sums up how I feel about marriage. But just know that I am a fan. Big fan of marriage. Big fan. And yeah, love you guys. See ya next week. Talk to you next week. Bye.